On a lonely beach at the edge of the world, a man sits and weeps because a goddess behind him has just offered to make him immortal, forever young, at her side, and he has said, "No, stay with me." And you'll see exactly why a man would refuse the one gift every human dreams of, and why his answer still describes your own life today. He would rather risk death on the open sea than live as a god, because somewhere beyond that water is a small, rocky island called Ithaca, and a wife he has not held in almost 20 years. This is the most dangerous journey ever told, not because of the monsters, though there are monsters, but because of what those monsters were really hiding. And by the end, you will see why a 3,000-year-old poem about one man trying to get home still knows something true about yours. It begins with a victory that curses him. His name is Odysseus, king of Ithaca, and he is the cleverest man in the Greek world. For 10 long years, the Greeks had thrown themselves against the walls of Troy, and for 10 years the walls had held. Spears failed, armies failed. And then Odysseus had an idea, a giant wooden horse, hollow with soldiers hidden inside. The Trojans dragged it through their own gates as a trophy, and that night the city burned. But here is what the legend rarely tells you. Winning was the easy part. Odysseus had 10 more years of nightmare ahead of him, and he did not know it yet. Because on the voyage home, he was about to make a single mistake that would turn the entire ocean against him. That mistake had one eye. Blown off course, Odysseus and his men land on a strange island and wander into a cave stacked with cheese and penned sheep. They should have run. Instead, they wait, and the owner comes home. He is Polyphemus, a Cyclops the size of a hillside, and a son of Poseidon, god of the sea itself. He rolls a boulder across the mouth of the cave, seals them in, and begins eating the men alive, 2 at a time. So how do you kill a giant when only he is strong enough to move the door? You don't. Instead, Odysseus gets him drunk, and when the monster slurs out a question, "What is your name?" Odysseus answers, "Nobody." Then they sharpen a great stake, heat it in the fire, and drive it into that single eye. The Cyclops howls for help, and the other giants call back through the dark, "If nobody is hurting you, then it must be the will of the gods." And so they slip out at dawn, hidden under the bellies of his own sheep. They had won, but pride is the one enemy Odysseus can never quite escape, and as they row away, he cannot resist shouting his real name across the water. Now the monster knows exactly who blinded him. He lifts his hands to his father, Poseidon, and begs him to make sure this man never reaches home. Or if he does, that he arrives late, broken, and alone, having lost everyone he loves. And Poseidon listens. From here, the sea itself becomes the villain, and more than once, it lets home come close enough to touch. The wind god Aeolus takes pity on Odysseus and hands him an extraordinary gift, a leather bag holding every dangerous wind, tied tightly shut so that only one gentle breeze remains to carry him straight to Ithaca. For 9 days they sail. On the 10th, the coast of Ithaca actually rises on the horizon, close enough to see the little fires burning on the beach. And then, while Odysseus finally sleeps, his own exhausted men untie the bag. They are certain he is hiding gold inside, treasure he means to keep for himself. Every storm wind bursts loose at once, and the tempest hurls them all the way back across the sea they had just crossed. He was almost home, and the people standing right beside him cost him everything. It would not be the last time the danger came from inside his own ship. Before we sail on, if you are the kind of person who loves stories like this, a quick subscribe genuinely helps this channel keep making them. But the sea had a crueler weapon than any storm. Slowly, it stopped trying to drown Odysseus and started trying to make him forget home entirely. First came the Lotus-Eaters, whose flower erases all longing. The men who tasted it simply stopped caring that Ithaca had ever existed, and he had to drag them back to the ships as they wept to stay. Then a witch named Circe turned his crew into pigs with a single cup of wine, and even after he forced her to change them back, he lingered on her island for an entire year, comfort quietly eating his purpose. And then came the Sirens, whose song is so beautiful that every sailor who hears it steers straight onto the rocks to reach them. Odysseus wants to hear that song and live, so he has his men fill their ears with wax and lash him to the mast, and he screams and begs to be cut free, as the music promises him everything he has ever wanted. Do you see the pattern the poem is building? The real danger was never teeth and claws, it was temptation, the slow, sweet pull to give up and stay. And the hardest temptation of them all was still waiting for him. Her name is Calypso, and this is where we began. His ship destroyed, his last men drowned, Odysseus washes up alone on her island, and the goddess falls in love with him. For 7 years, she keeps him there. And then she offers the one thing no mortal is ever supposed to refuse. She will make him immortal. No death, no old age, paradise at her side forever. All he has to do is let go of a wife who is surely aging by now, perhaps dying, perhaps already gone. And yet every single day he walks down to the shore and weeps. Not because the island is a prison, but because it is perfect, and perfect is not home. When the gods at last force Calypso to release him, she warns him of every horror the sea still has waiting. He builds a raft and leaves anyway. Think about what that means. He trades a guaranteed eternity for the mere chance of an ordinary mortal life beside the person he loves. But that ordinary life he is risking everything to reach had been quietly falling apart for years, and a war was waiting for him behind his own front door. While Odysseus fought the sea, his home was being devoured from the inside. 108 men had moved into his palace, slaughtering his herds, drinking his wine, and pressuring his wife Penelope to finally admit that her husband was dead and choose one of them. But Penelope is every bit as clever as Odysseus. She tells them she will pick a new husband the day she finishes weaving a burial shroud for his old father. And then, in secret, she unravels her own weaving every single night, so the work is never done. For 3 years, the trick holds them off. When it is finally betrayed, she is out of time. So she sets one final test. She will marry whichever man can string Odysseus's enormous bow and shoot a single arrow clean through the sockets of 12 axe heads set in a row. One after another, the strongest men in the land try, and not one of them can even bend the bow. Then a filthy old beggar asks for a turn. The suitors laugh, but the beggar is Odysseus, home at last, hidden in disguise. He lifts the bow, strings it as easily as a man tightens a harp, and sends the arrow flying through all 12 axes. Then he turns that same bow on the men who devoured his kingdom. The homecoming he crossed the entire world to reach begins as a reckoning. So why has this one story survived for almost 3,000 years, retold in every language on Earth? Because the Greeks built it around an idea we still do not have a clean word for, nostos, the deep ache to return home, a pull strong enough to outweigh immortality itself. Every monster Odysseus faced was really the same question wearing a different mask, the question the poem keeps quietly asking you. When comfort or safety or forever is placed in front of you, what is worth giving all of it up for? A goddess offered Odysseus the one thing every human being is afraid to lose. He looked eternity in the eye, and he chose a rocky little island, and a graying wife, and a life that would one day end. If you understand why he chose it, then you already understand the oldest story we have ever told about being human, and maybe a little more about whatever it is you would cross an ocean to get back to.